And welcome everybody to the PCS Like a Pro show. I'm your host, Megan Harless, as always, and we've got a really good show for you today. It's going to be a little different, but it's going to be really good. Before we get into everything, I just want to remind everybody we are in peak season. We are starting to see delays happening. We're starting to see people having to change their plans with how they move, when they move. And so just to remind everybody, if you've submitted your move and you haven't heard from anybody yet, reach out to your local transportation office, ask for the update, see what's going on with your shipment. If you're in the process of moving and you have issues coming up, first reach out to your move coordinator at your assigned TSP, and then reach out to your local transportation office as well. There should be somebody there to help you. And if you are still getting the runaround and struggling with that, don't hesitate to join our group, and myself and my other admins, we can help you with the best that we can, or help direct you with the more appropriate office to reach out to. So we'll get that link dropped into the comments. So I've got my friend Stacy here with me today. If you have watched us from the beginning, you know Stacy's been on our show before. We talked about her experience PCSing and being a Coast Guard family and what that was like. And today it's going to be a little different. We're going to be talking about pre-packing and prepping for your move. And this is everything I can sit here and I can tell you about. But I think things are more fun when you have friends, when you have people with you to kind of go through the process and talk about it and answer everybody's questions. So instead of me interviewing Stacy today, Stacy is actually going to do a role reversal with me. And she's going to be interviewing me with how my family does our pre-packing and our prepping, because we are in the middle of our PCS right now. So Stacy, welcome to the show, and welcome to the promotion of being the interview person now.
my big day.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to get started. So Megan, let's start from the beginning. When you receive your PCS orders, how do you prepare for your upcoming PCS?
So there's a lot that we kind of start with. The big thing is looking first at where we're going to be moving to, and then trying to decide when we want to move. Figuring that out with our school schedules with our children as well also plays into that. But when we get down closer into the nitty-gritty of physically moving, I like to have a plan for everything. I am a big planner. If you're in our group, which I dropped the link to that in the comments, if you're in the group, you will see I like to plan for absolutely everything. And so with preparing for your PCS, a lot of it is figuring out what's going to go with you in the cars. If you have multiple shipments, what's going to go into each shipment, how you're going to get everything to fit there, how you're going to get from A to B. Are you flying? Are you driving? Are you towing something? All of that. And then for me, a big piece of that planning process is also, how do I want to have my home be packed? I have a big request when our movers come in. I ask them to start with my children's rooms first and to pack their rooms first, because I need them to stop adding things to the car pile. We can only fit so much in our car, and my daughter needs to bring all her stuffed animals. My sons need to bring all of their books, all of their Legos, all of their electronics, all of their everything. And so it's getting them to understand, like, we only have so much room. So unless you're willing to hold the box on your lap for the 8-hour drive, like, we can't take all of this. So I asked them to pack the kids' rooms first, so that way they stop adding things to the car pile. I asked them that my master bedroom and my kitchen be the last things packed, because I know we typically have about 2 weeks where we are eating out. And so I don't want to eat out for the full, more than what we have to. And so I like having my kitchen so I can cook up into the last possible minute. And then my master bedroom being packed last, because that's usually where our cats are kind of secluded at. We keep our cats in there. They pack my kids' rooms the next day, because we're usually a more than a 1-day pack out. Then we'll shuffle our cats over into another bedroom that's already packed. But that's kind of how we go about into this planning process.
You just make sure that they don't pack your kitties.
Yes. So we have, you really need to, and what we do, so we have signs on the door that basically say like these are some attack cats. They have anxiety. They have stranger anxiety, so they will attack people they don't know most of the time. They're not people. They're not peoply cats. They're not the cats you'd be like, oh, kitty, kitty, come here. So we usually have signs on the doors warning people the cats have stranger anxiety. They will attack if they don't know you. So you're entering at your own risk, and we're not going to be liable if you get hurt because you've been warned. And then we do have tape that we have over the doors as well. My husband is forever thankful for the tape, but he also really hates it because you have to be like a ninja try and get into our room then if you have to go in there to get something that is in there. But that's kind of how we make sure they're secured. And we've had other times where we went and we boarded them, just to have them out of the way. But that's how we kind of handle our pets with that too.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so now with packing, I know you just mentioned packing. So you do a lot of the pre-packing. Let's break it down by each room. How do you pre-pack your clothes? Because I know you have a system. I have heard it before. And I just wish I would have known this a long time ago.
Yes. So I'm going to show you some pictures first of what that pre-packing kind of looks like. So this is some of it you see here. So, and I'll show you the products here in a second. So we use trash bags over our hanging clothes, and we use them like garment bags. So if you pull them up from the bottom, you can tie them around the top. And then when you get to your new location, you can untie them, and you can still use those trash bags in your trash can. So you're not just, wasting them and throwing them away. But we use that as a simple way for garment bags. Toss in there a dryer sheet and a silica packet, to keep them smelling fresh and for any moisture that could be there. But that's what we do. And it kind of helps us not have to rewash everything when it arrives. And should there be an instance of like a truck having a leak or the warehouse having a leak or a box gets wet somehow, they're just a little bit more protected where we may not have to worry about mold, or if there is mold, it's not going to be a widespread issue because they're protected. You also see down on the second picture, the bottom right-hand corner, that blue looking boxing, that's a Ziploc flex tote. I love the Ziploc flex totes because they will stack 2 in a box. To be able to be packed up so that way they're not taken as is. And we use those for all of our folded clothes, our socks, underwear, things like that. Again, just as another way to protect them really, and to keep them safe, keep them, again, dryer sheet and a silica packet in there for that. And so like these are the ones that we use. So first I talked about trash bags. I mean, any trash bags work. Just find a box of trash bags. And
I like the Febreze ones because that'll help keep your clothes smell fresh too.
Yeah, Febreze ones, if you are able to find them in the size that you need them in. A lot of my kids, because they're smaller clothes, the Febreze ones work great. For some of our stuff, not so much, and we have to go to the big ones. But again, a dryer sheet silica packet does wonders. And then the flex totes. So there's 2 different sizes you'll see. There is an extra large size, which is more of a cube square shape. And then there's a jumbo size, which is more of it's upside down. Sorry, y'all, I'm a little backwards over here. Which is more of a rectangle shape. So the square one, the extra large size, this is what I use for my clothes. Because these will easily stack 2 on top of each other in a box. And then the larger jumbo size ones, I use these for our linens, our blankets. And again, 2 of these can stack. They'll kind of slide in sideways, but 2 of these will work into a medium-sized box as well. But I use the bigger ones for blankets because they're bigger, and I use the extra large size for our clothing in there.
So what do you use for all those shoes you have, Megan?
So for my shoes, because people know I love shoes, y'all. Shoes. So my boots, I should have taken a picture of this. So I have a good collection of boots. Go to the dollar store, get you some pool noodles, put the pool noodles into your boots, cut them to size. Even your little booties, I have little pool noodles in there to kind of help hold the shape of them. We've had numerous times where my boots have shown up folded in half, smashed, all of that. The pool noodles kind of force them to pack them upright in a box. And so I always tell them, you can put my boots on the bottom of a wardrobe box because they'll stand upright and then they'll hang the clothes in and nothing's smashed, nothing's to pieces. All my other shoes, again, at the Dollar Tree, because don't spend a ton of money on this stuff. At the Dollar Tree, get you a pack of shower caps, of just like plastic shower caps. You can put 2 shoes into a shower cap. It keeps the dirty soles from touching everything else. It keeps your pairs together. And then usually I just have those kind of just sitting on the floor in a corner, and they'll usually take those and wrap them up and put them in a box. But it keeps them from just dumping a bunch of shoes in there and you trying to find matches later, because they're all wrapped together in a nice little shower cap. So yeah, and I see a couple people here in the comments joining us, Dustin, Christina, Angela. If you guys got questions about anything, please drop them in the comments. I'd love to, share more about how my family handles our PCS and prepacking and all of that. So if you've got comments, please ask them.
Okay, so next question, Megan. You mentioned your kids like to put all of their toys and their different things in the car pile. So let's talk about pre-packing toys. How do you handle that?
Yeah, so let me show you another picture here, moving on. So this is my daughter's closet. Everything that we've kind of got staged in together, we've put into her closet. So to the right and left, you'll see there's some of her hanging clothes are in smaller size trash bags, protected as well. But on the bottom couple of shelves and to the right, you'll see some larger bags, and those are Ziploc big bags, and I'll show those to you here in a moment. There's different sizes of those as well, but usually like either the Ziploc big bags or the Ziploc jumbo bags or even the 2-gallon size bags. We kind of just put all the toys in there. Some of them are separated by, like, all her Hatchimals are together in a bag. She's got Barbie accessories together in a bag, but we kind of put everything into a bag so that way it's kind of contained. Then the packer only has to put the bags into boxes. And it prevents you from having to like fish out the Barbie shoes and the Legos in the bottom of the box when you're trying to unpack. You get to the point where you're just like, forget it. We don't need that Barbie shoe. She probably lost the other one already. But
we're big Lego people, so I totally understand.
Yes,
huge wardrobe boxes packed to the top with Lego box, like original packaging, and all of a sudden you hear the box move and there's missing pieces at the bottom and you have no idea where they go.
Yeah. So we do just a lot of bagging stuff. All of her stuffed animals are in a Ziploc jumbo big bag as well, with a dryer sheet to keep them smelling fresh and a silica packet for moisture protection. But that's really how we kind of handle toys there for that. We got a comment here from Destin about no, wrong one. This one. They did the vacuum bags for Legos, but this one about saran wrap, the stack rings, and puzzle games, board games, and put all that stuff together and whatnot. But these are the big bags I was talking about. These are the extra large ones. They also come in jumbo size. The extra large ones are a little bit shorter than the jumbo size ones. The jumbo size ones are much bigger. But that's what that is. And then you'll see if you scroll up through the comments, I dropped a link to our Amazon shop with all of these products already listed in there. So
you have the silica packets in that Amazon shop too, right?
I do, yeah. So everything I talk about, I've got linked there in that Amazon shop, so that way you can be able to easily just go and click add to cart for all of your stuff. You don't have to go try to figure out which one it was. So
cool. So we're going to move on into the kitchen. So let's talk about how you pre-pack your kitchen items. And I know it's the last on your list to have packed, but how do you pre-pack it and get it ready for the packers to come in?
Yeah, so I don't have pictures of this because we haven't done it yet. We'll pre-pack it on Sunday because since our packers are coming on Monday. But again, I'll use, so these are the Ziploc, the 2-gallon bags. 2-gallon bag size. Basically, all of our kitchen utensils will go into those, like our spatulas, our, serving spoons, those types of things. My silverware tray, organizer tray, we saran wrap that because it keeps everything together and already organized. You have an instant silverware drawer when you arrive at your new house just to cut that off. You don't have to rewash all of your silverware then. Same with all your kitchen utensils you put into bags. The big one really is our knife block because this one is one that we have, the fun lessons learned over the years from PCSing. Our knife block we now saran wrap as well. The numerous times where it's just wrapped in paper and you're unwrapping the paper trying to figure out what is this, and now you have steak knives fall in and you're hoping you don't cut off a toe. We've had that happen several times, and so now
or you get stabbed in the hand like I did.
Yeah, because you don't know what it is till you're opening it. And so we saran wrap our knife block to kind of prevent that from happening now. And like I said, anything that can go into a bag basically goes into a bag.
All right, so now that you have the things packaged and you have the movers there, how do you go about handling how the boxes are labeled and with the room labels to help make everything much easier when you get to your new location?
Yeah, so there's a few things with this one. So the first thing is I always have a Sharpie marker on hand. This is to help with labeling what the boxes are. Our last name sometimes gets spelled wrong, and so this makes it easy for me to be able to just correct it myself to make sure it's spelled right. Sometimes they don't use the most descriptive words on the boxes, and while I will talk with the movers about that and say, hey, could we, label it like this? Could we add more words like this to it? Most times they do. Sometimes I don't catch it in time, and so I'll go back and label things based off of what I know is in that spot or in that room. Instead of just kitchen items, I ask for small appliances like toaster, air fryer, instant pot kind of deal, or if it's my cookware versus my bakeware, if it's my dishes versus the cookware, just to have a better idea of what it is in that box. The second thing that gets added to our box, so this is my personalized contact stamp. Has our name, our phone numbers, and our email addresses on it. So on the side of the box where all the writing happens at, we stamp this right onto it. It's a self-inking stamp. Comes out down there. But that way, should the box get lost or misplaced or something, it's got our contact info right on it. And then the last thing that we add are our room labels. And so these room labels I got from a company called Box Ops.
Oh, I have some of those.
It's a military spouse-owned business. And we did a show with Shay a couple weeks ago talking about Box Ops and this product. So we'll get that linked in the comments for y'all. But basically, it's all the labels. And what I love about these labels is first, there is a place to put the box number. So when they put the inventory stickers on, and sometimes they don't always stay on. This allows you to be able to write the inventory number on here as well. You can write the location, so if it needs to be upstairs room or downstairs, so people know. And with the size of the label, so this is one label, and if you see how it's kind of upside down, that's because it folds over the edge of a box, so you can see the label from two different sides.
And it also helps with security too, knowing if somebody's been through your boxes.
Yeah. So we're going to be using Shay's Box Ops system. But she's got the labels, different colors, different rooms, different everything. Unpack first. So all of our boxes that are going to be packed with items that we've pre-packed, we're going to put an unpack first label on it because we can then go unpack those boxes because we always ask for a partial unpack. We can prioritize having those unpacked and then having I'm okay having my pile of Ziploc bag toys and Ziploc flex totes sitting in the corner. It gets those cardboard boxes out of the house. But we'll put the room labels on. And what I love with Shay's system too is that you also get door hangers that where did it go, that are color coded, labeled, and match.
That's smart. Yes.
And everything, so they can easily match the color on the box to the color hanging on the door. which is why I love her system so much. Just makes it so much easier for that.
Again, I wish I would have known, like, we're done moving, no more moving for the Benson family. And this would have made it so much easier. All the moves that we've done. So
Yeah. There's a question really quick I want to get to from Destin here. Destin's asking, what do you do when you want to do all of that, but they are literally packing and loading at the same time? It's a sucky situation to be in, and we've been
tell
there.
them to
Destin.
hold on, give me a minute,
Yes.
put those labels on.
Yes.
They're working for you. Make them work. If you want them to stop, make them stop.
Yeah. So the big thing is that you can't prohibit them from doing their job. But when they are loading and packing at the same time, I always ask, can you not load the room until you're done packing? And let me have a chance to look in the room to ensure that everything is packed. And so part of it is being involved in that process. So if they're packing a room, I'm in that room. My teenager is in that room. My husband's in that room. Somebody is in that room where they can be able to help put on labels and do stamps. My kids are great at putting our contact stamp on everything because they literally just have to walk around and stamp boxes. It doesn't really matter, certain room labels at this time. My kids are going to be involved in the process. It's great when you have older kids, when you finally have older kids that can be involved and help in the process, like the second half of your life begins. So if you have young kids, just hold on. I know it's hard, but like your second life is coming, I promise you. But my boys are going to be in their rooms, like putting their labels on their boxes. I'll show them how to do the first two, and then they'll put the rest of their room labels on their boxes as they get it packed for that. And then the other thing, when we had that happen as well, one of us, my husband or myself, we took turns going back and forth, was out at the truck as they brought stuff out to the truck. And it did not go on the truck if it did not have an inventory number, and if I could not verify that it was also listed on the inventory as well. If it didn't have either of those, it got set to the side and they went and found another box to bring out. So that's kind of how we handled that situation.
Okay, so when you have everything packed, all of your goods are on the truck. I know you have a system for putting stuff in your car. How do you know what to set aside and if it will fit in your car or your vehicle, whatever you're driving?
Yeah, so let me show you a picture of this. So for the longest time, we had the same car, and so I knew what would fit into that car through trial of error of multiple PCSs. For this PCS last summer, we had to get a new car for me. And so I have different trunk space. So what you see here with all this green tape on the floor and on the wall, I literally went out to my car with a tape measure. And do I have it over here? Oh, I do. Let me see if I still got the picture for you. Yeah, I went out and I created a little diagram with the measurements of my car, of the trunk space that I'm going to have available, measured it out in my car, drew the little diagram picture of it, and then I came inside my house, found a wall, measured it out again, and used tape. I mean, it's not like, perfectly straight lines here, but measured it out again. And so now the stuff that we are putting into my car, we're putting into the space to see how it fits and to figure out what can fit. And, versus what we've put in my car previously, is that same amount of stuff going to fit in this car? Or are we going to have to figure out either not taking something with us that we normally take, or, do we actually have extra room and we can take more stuff with us as well? So this is kind of how we figure out what will fit into our car, what goes, because the last thing that we want to end up with is our pile too big and either having to go ship something, or we're having to go rent a U-Haul, which would probably send my husband over the edge. And everything, when I tell him, sorry, honey, your truck now has to tow something. But it's an easy way to figure out ahead of time what's going to fit and what isn't before you're in that, oh no, what now phase.
Okay, so what other things do you do to prepare for a move or help make the process go just a little bit smoother?
So the big thing is planning that we already kind of talked about. I have the big plan of how I want my home to packed. So like when your crew comes to your home and you greet them, you give them the tour of the home so they can see what all needs to go. That way they can kind of figure out, how long is it going to take? Do they need to call somebody else to come? Um, that type of deal. And that's the time where I say, here are my kids' rooms. I would really like for these to be packed first.
Mhm.
I need these to be packed first so they're done, they're out of the way. Go around, show them where different things are. We get to my kitchen, and I always say, I would like for this room to be packed last. I know sometimes they like starting on the kitchen first because there's a lot of breakable stuff in there. So I do tell them, if everything else gets done and we have to start on the kitchen today, like let me know and I'll show you what can go ahead and get packed. There are a few things I'd like to keep out until tomorrow or the last day um, of packing as possible, just to be able to have dinners cooked that night or breakfast the next morning before they show up or whatever it may be. So having that plan, it kind of helps set realistic expectations for your movers and yourself up front as to the order you want things in, and it kind of helps managing your move uh, and all the chaos happening in your home a little bit easier, because then you know about what area of the home they should be in based off of what you requested. Kind of helps make that traffic direction kind of easier for that piece too. Uh, and then on the delivery end of things, I usually have a sign, which I don't know, it's buried somewhere. I usually have signs that we put on my kids on basically every room door, um, that lists like what is that room labeled as on the box. Usually one of the room labels will also be on that that door label as well, so that way they can help match the colors. And then I have a list on that door hanger as well as to what furniture goes in that room. So it'll be the full size wooden bed, the bunk bed, the full size white wood bed, the white dresser goes in this room, the tall gray wood finish goes in, dresser goes in that room. And that kind of helps, again, make the traffic direction a little easier as well, because you're not having to be there directing stuff. They can go and find the room that says this or that. As it comes off the truck, you can say it's up the stairs and the door on the right, and they can verify with what you have on the door. But it gives you more time to be able to check numbers off as stuff comes off your truck, more time to look at your furniture as it comes off the truck in case there's any damage, be able to verify if there's anything missing. So those are really the two big things that I do to kind of help make that process a little bit smoother.
So I have, what would you give advice? So say you were doing your first PCS, you had just gotten married, you had all this wedding china and all this crystal, and you get to your first duty station in a different branch of service and you couldn't find it. So 6 months later, because the box was labeled incorrectly, it was labeled for gardening stuff, and you're not a big gardener, so you let the box sit in your little outside house, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have a pot for that. Let me get my plant in that pot. And you find all your crystal and all of your china. And like, how do you handle that? Because that's not only
Yeah.
happened once to me, but it's happened multiple times where I couldn't find stuff that I knew should be in the specific box until 6 to 8 months later. And I'm like, oh, well, there that is.
Yeah, let me tell you too, I have also found a giant, large clay plant potter as well, like the giant big ones, in
Yeah.
a dish pack that was packed on top of my fine china. Um, and it was labeled as kitchen items. So the first things is like your fine china and your crystal can go on your high value inventory. So have it set aside, have it listed on your high value inventory. The second thing is be involved in the process. Do not, please, for the love of all things, whatever. Do not just think, oh, they've got it, they'll handle it, and like go walk your dog or go meet a friend for lunch, and just let them be there. Do not do that. You need to be there. Be involved in that process. Please do not just go sit on the couch and catch up on the rest of your Netflix shows before the service gets disconnected, and everything. Be involved in the process. Walk around, make small talk, check on how things are going.
Make friends.
Make
Make friends is
friends.
a big one. Make friends with these people.
Yeah, be comfortable with the awkwardness. I've learned to embrace that. Like, I'm okay if there's awkward silence now. Like, like I'm gonna stand in this corner and I'm gonna watch you pack because that's something that's important to me. That's our household goods. That's our memories. So we kind of embrace that awkwardness. But when you're involved in the process like that and you are around, um, you can be able to catch some of those things of how they're labeled, how things are being packed. Now, sometimes when we get to I have breakable stuff in my dining room, there's breakable stuff in my kitchen. Sometimes they finish packing the dining room and they say, hey, we only have a few small things left here in the dining room to pack up. Can we move them to a kitchen box? And they let me know that. And I'm like,
at least they asked you.
Yeah. And I'm just like, that is, and usually they ask because I'm right there watching them pack it. Most of my dining room goes on our high value list anyway. I've got a Polish pottery collection. I've got some expensive crystal items and Waterford crystal stuff. I've got some fine china over there. So a lot of my dining room goes on our high value list. So sometimes there's a few extra straggling pieces that need to be packed, but it's like, I can't put these in a box by themselves. They should be packed with something else. But when you're involved in the process and you see that and you can help direct that some. A big thing I also tell people is you should open up every single box. Do not just take the box. I know what it feels like when you get to the last few and you think, gosh, I'm tired. That's just labeled whatever. Just go shove it in the closet. We don't need it right now. Or let's just go shove it in the shed out back. We don't need that. Even if you think you don't need it, rip the box open, take a look inside. First, you want to look to make sure that it really is your contents inside. Second, you want to make sure if anything is broken or not, because if it's broken, you want to file a claim on it. And so you have a certain timeline to file the claim. So if you wait 9 months until it's summer season again, and you think you need to be gardening, if something were broken in that box, you wouldn't be able to claim it because it's past the claims timeline.
So in other words, learn from our mistakes and what we've learned along the way. If this is all new to you, we've been there, done that 22 years. My husband just retired. So learn from our mistakes. Yeah. This is what Megan's here for. She's giving you all the resources, all the information you need to make your life and your PCS move so much easier when you get those orders. So wait, this way. Listen to Megan.
Yeah. But no, absolutely. I mean, just you want to be involved and you want to open up the boxes. And I see some of the comments coming in from Destin and Angela about, not leaving them alone either. And Destin makes her husband, John, be all up in their business to pay attention. Sometimes we have really great people on our crews, that know what they're doing. They're professionals. They handle things accordingly. And we don't have to, be the weird stalker in the corner so much. We've had some really great, fantastic crews of our own. And we've also had some very not fantastic crews as well in our experience. And so some of those folks, it's, it's be a part of it, and sometimes it feels weird. Like I don't want to go get in their way. What am I going to go do in that room? And so I would just walk in. I'm just like, hey, I just want to make sure our last name is being spelled right on the box. And, I'll just start checking that. And as I'm checking the boxes they've completed, I'll watch what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I'll be like, oh, can you, wrap that this way? Or can you pack that with this over here instead, kind of deal. So it's a way of being involved without being, right there next to them, just staring them down awkwardly.
We've made buddies with all of our crews, our pack out crew,
Mhm.
our moving crew. Usually the driver is also on the receiving end for us. So we've made friends with all of them. And our crews would call us, especially when it was a cross country trip. He would go one way, we were going the opposite way, and he's on the phone with us. He goes, "Hey, did you see this?" Like we were ahead of him, but
Yeah.
he was driving constantly. We were stopping and enjoying the sights. And he would call us and he goes, "Hey, I'm going through this area now. Watch out for this." Like it was the weirdest thing, but it was amazing to know that we knew where our stuff was. It was kind of like
Yeah.
those little AirPod things or air trackers, whatever those Apple
Air
Pods.
tags.
Yes,
Yeah.
but in real life because he was the one checking in with us.
Yeah, which is awesome. And sometimes you get a great driver who is willing to give you updates like that. Sometimes you don't.
Mhm.
I want to throw this comment up here because it's a really great point here from Destin. If you see something that is not packed correctly, for example, like your TV box is under a 1,000-pound toolbox, stop everything and make sure that it gets open immediately after unloading. Even on the loading process, on the packing process, if you see something going on and you're not quite sure, like you feel like that's not the right thing that should be doing, it is totally fine and is well within your right to say, "Hey, can we stop for a second? I have a question about this." And if they don't know, if they're not giving you the answer you want, you say, "Hold on, let me make a phone call because I just want to make sure for my own well-being that this is how things are supposed to be done." Call your move coordinator, ask them the question. Call your local transportation office, ask them the question, ask if they can send a QA inspector out to your home to see how things are being done. um, this is your stuff. While this service is provided to us, for them to come pack our stuff and to move us, it is still your stuff, your household goods, your memories, the constants in our lives, especially for our children, to help make transition easier. So if there's something going on and you're just not quite sure about it, it's totally okay to stop them and say, ask a question and say, "Well, let me get some clarification," and to call somebody. I will tell you, we had one move. We were dual service at the time. So my husband had Pro Gear, I had Pro Gear. And there was some stuff they didn't want to mark as Pro Gear. They were just like, "No, that doesn't count as Pro Gear." And I knew fully that it did. So I called my move coordinator and I asked her, I'm like, "For Pro Gear, is it supposed to be these types of items?" And she said, "Yes, that absolutely counts as Pro Gear." And I said, "Well, our packers here are refusing to label it as Pro Gear, saying that it's not Pro Gear." And she said, "Don't worry about it. I will take care of it." And I said, "Okay." Um, and 10 minutes later, one of the packers was getting a call from their company saying, "Hey, we have to go back upstairs and label that box as Pro Gear and put it on the inventory as Pro Gear." Um, so my move coordinator was able to reach out to the local agent that they contracted with and handled it that way. And then we had no issues and it was good. So if you see something you're just not sure, it's totally okay to ask questions, ask for things to be repacked a different way, ask for things to be packed in a certain way. If you have original boxes and they're still in good sound, the packing material, the styrofoam inserts, whatever it may be, is still in good sound, the items can be repacked into those. So it's totally okay to ask for that to be done too.
We just finally got rid of all of those boxes this last move. Okay, Megan, any last advice, any last tidbits to give the other spouses who are getting ready to go through this PCS season?
Oh gosh, there's so much. How much time do y'all have? No, I think the biggest things that I really want to tell people, I'm going to try to break this down in just a few things, and hitting the main pieces. Um, is first, have some wiggle room in your plan. Especially this year, we're seeing some dates have to, shift and change a little bit. Um, with the labor and driver shortages, the number of people moving, just how things are, have some wiggle room in your timeline. Don't plan for your stuff to be picked up on Wednesday and for you to get on a plane on Thursday. Have a few days of wiggle room in there. The second one would be to take a deep breath and relax It's going to be stressful. It may suck at sometimes, but it can make for a great story later. Everything makes for a great story later. It doesn't why we're in it and why we're living it, but I promise you, like, those are the stories when you're at, your new unit events and everything, and you're trying to see who has the worst whatever story. You can be like, this one time when we PCS'd, let me tell you about what happened. It sucks now, but it makes for a great story later. But take a deep breath and just know that it will work out. How it's supposed to, hopefully how it's supposed to, and know that you have people here that are here to to help you and to help guide you through it. So again, we've got the group link dropped in the comments, so you can reach out there. Lots of good information, but don't be afraid to ask those questions. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. And know that you're not alone in it either. I think that's without taking all day as a Megan TED Talk seminar. I think that's
So one thing that I would add to that is when you're leaving one location, PCSing to another, you have renter's insurance, right? Or you're supposed to have renter's insurance. Do not cancel that policy until you get to your new location. And if you're renting again, just update your information and get it changed and switched to that location. If you're buying a home, do not cancel your renter's policy until you move into your home where your homeowner's insurance will cover all of your things.
Yes. No, that is a great reminder. So we did another show a couple weeks ago with Armed Forces Insurance, where we had Bryce on here. We talked everything you need to know about insurance. So we'll drop that link to go back and rewatch it in the comments as well. But yeah, you need to have some sort of private policy in place when your stuff is moving. Yes, there is, the moving company is liable. It's $6 per pound, but only up to $75,000. So you have a 10,000 pound shipment, they're only liable for $60,000. You have a 20,000 pound shipment, you're only going to get $75,000 max. So you need to have some sort of private insurance policy in place. And usually a renter's insurance policy is like the best thing to kind of fill that role. So if you own a home and you sell your home or you're moving out of that home, you need to get a renter's insurance policy to cover your household goods that goes into effect either the day you sell your house or the day that you are moving from your house. You should make sure your policy covers in transit and in storage. Even if you are not required to have renter's insurance in your rental home or apartment, you should have it, because should there be a fire in that building, the people that own that structure, that own that apartment complex or that rental home, their insurance will cover the structure of the home. It's not going to cover your household goods. So if you want to ensure that your stuff is protected, have that policy in place. That's such a good reminder, Stacy.
And if you have a policy on jewelry, anything that's high valued items, like my camera equipment, you better believe that's on my rider policy under our homeowner's insurance. All of my jewelry, I have all of that. And it's all one big policy. And I think it's $13 a year, but it's
very
a huge policy. It's
Yeah.
very cheap. Just make sure that if you're adding your jewelry or you're adding camera equipment or something like that, that you have an appraisal on all of your items, so that when something happens, if something happens, that you will get that covered and it will be replaced.
Yeah, absolutely. Such good reminder, especially to end with. So I think that's it for how we pre-pack and how we plan our PCS. So again, next week, our packers come on Monday. They're supposed to load on Wednesday. So I will be happy to show y'all what's going on in our house next week. Our episode next week is already pre-recorded, but you're going to want to tune in and you're going to want to watch, because it's with Mallory, who is otherwise known as the Diddy Mama. They have only ever done Diddy moves. I think she's done like 13 in like 8 years. 8 or 9 years, because of what their timeline has been. So she is like the Diddy pro. So
Bless
that
her.
right. She's just an amazing person. I loved listening to her story and all of her advice when we recorded it. So that will be playing next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you're planning a Diddy move, if you think you might have to transition over to do a Diddy move, or you're trying to convince your husband or your spouse to do a Diddy move in the future, it's going to be a great episode to watch, to hear all of her tips and tricks, things she's learned along the way over the years, and just how to make that process a little smoother for you. You're not going to want to miss it, you guys. It's such lots of good information, and it's a really great show. So I'm excited for y'all to see that. So tune in then to catch that. Stick around next week to see how our PCS goes. And if you're in the middle of PCSing, we are fingers crossed that your PCS is going smooth as well, and that any issues are far and few in between. And until then, everybody, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We're glad you joined us today. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see y'all soon.